For 1,000 years, the Varn Dominion had ruled the stars. From the silver nebulae of Acranas to the burned husks of the Keldrim moons, every civilization that dared to resist had been reduced to ash. Their fleets were vast, their technology unmatched, and their arrogance absolute. None had ever stood against them for long. When the Dominion arrived, worlds surrendered. It was not a question of if, but when. In the heart of their empire floated the Grand Armada, 12,000 warships, each capable of glassing a planet in minutes. Commanded by High Marshal Kor, the fleet had earned the name Unbreakable Tide. It was said that no resistance had ever survived their first volley. Then came the anomaly. It began as a whisper among the Dominion scouts. A single small world in an uncharted spiral arm had destroyed 3 patrol ships. No distress signals, no survivors, only wreckage floating in the void. The reports were dismissed as sensor errors at first, but when an entire frigate squadron vanished without a trace, the whispers grew into murmurs of unease. The High Council ordered Kor to investigate. A minor world, they said, barely developing, unworthy of a fleet's attention. But Kor was a cautious man, forged in centuries of conquest. He deployed one of his vanguard fleet's 300 warships to the coordinates. When they arrived, they found the planet. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents, primitive orbital structures dotted its upper atmosphere, and yet as the Dominion ships closed in, something stirred. A single contact appeared on their scanners. At first it seemed like debris. Then it moved. The ship was enormous, far larger than any design the Dominion had encountered. Its hull reflected no signals. Its surface shimmered like dark glass, absorbing radar energy and light alike. No identification codes, no transponder, no response to hails. Kor ordered a warning shot. The Varn's lead cruiser fired a plasma lance that could melt continents. The beam struck the alien hull and vanished into nothing. The ship did not evade, did not respond. Then it spoke, not through channels or transmission bands, but through every frequency simultaneously. A calm voice echoed across every bridge, translated automatically by the Dominion systems, though no translator should have been able to. Unidentified fleet, this is the Terran warship Resolute. You have trespassed in Sol space. Leave immediately. The officers exchanged uncertain glances. The voice had sounded human. No distortion, no machine edge. Just a calm, clear tone, as if a man had stood before them. Kor gave the order to engage. The Dominion unleashed its fury. 1,000 beams, missiles, and kinetic slugs converged on the lone ship. The Resolute did not move. Energy flares washed over it and vanished. Missiles detonated harmlessly in the black void. Sensors screamed confusion. Shields, armor, none of their readings made sense. Then the Resolute responded. Its hull split open along invisible seams, revealing vast glowing channels of blue-white light. A pulse erupted. Not a beam, not a projectile, but a wave that rippled across the fleet. In an instant, systems died. Engines faltered. Weapons went cold. 300 warships hung dead in space. Kor shouted orders, demanded status reports, but his commands vanished into static. Then, without another word, the Resolute moved. In a blink, it crossed the distance between stars. A gravitational distortion rippled behind it like a storm. When it reappeared, the Vanguard fleet was gone. Erased. Only fragments of data reached Dominion Command. Enough to terrify them. The Council dispatched the Grand Armada. 12,000 ships gathered near the Sol frontier. Kor stood upon the bridge of the flagship Dominus, his eyes fixed on the dark void ahead. He did not speak of fear, but it lived in the silence between his words. Hours passed. Then the scanners flared. The Resolute was there again, alone, its hull gleaming faintly against the black. It did not advance. It simply waited. Kor opened a channel. This is High Marshal Kor of the Varn Dominion. You stand before the might of the galaxy's supreme power. Identify yourself and state your purpose, the voice returned, calm as before. This is the Terran warship Resolute, flagship of the Human Defense Network. You have invaded Sol space. Turn back. Kor's laughter filled the command deck. You face the Dominion Armada. Your resistance is meaningless. Submit and be spared, the voice did not change. You have been warned. And then the stars themselves seemed to bend. Kor watched in disbelief as his fleet's sensors went mad. Space twisted. Gravitational readings spiked beyond comprehension. The Resolute shimmered and another appeared beside it. Then another, then a dozen. Within seconds, the darkness bloomed with titanic forms, each one identical. The Dominion had assumed it was one ship. It was not. It was the vanguard of an entire human fleet, silent, black and ancient. Before Core could react, the Resolute fired. A beam of pure energy, condensed from the power of a star, lanced through space. The Dominu's shields collapsed instantly. The beam tore through armor, hull, and core alike. The command deck vanished in white fire. Across the Armada, panic spread. The humans did not pursue in chaos. They advanced with terrifying precision. Their weapons were silent flashes of light, each one finding its mark. Dominion ships disintegrated one by one, their reactors imploding. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Within minutes, thousands of ships were gone. Core, aboard a secondary command ship, stared at the horror unfolding. "How?" he whispered. "How can a primitive world possess this power?" The answer came from his science officer. "The data fragments we recovered. There are hints of old technologies older than our empire. They called them warships, but these are not vessels. They are fortresses. They are planet killers built by beings who no longer feared gods." Core did not believe it, yet the truth burned before his eyes. The humans had hidden. For millennia, while the galaxy waged wars and empires rose and fell, they had remained silent, watching, waiting, building. And when the Dominion finally came knocking, they had unleashed what they had prepared. As the Armada burned, a final transmission pierced the chaos. The human voice again, calm and firm. "The Earth remembers every invasion, every extinction, every time it was called weak. We do not start wars, but when they come to us, we finish them." The last thing Core saw was the Earth itself. It glowed faintly blue through the viewport. Then the Resolute fired once more, and the Dominion was no more. When the smoke cleared, the galaxy trembled. News of the annihilation spread faster than light. Empires that had once boasted of power fell silent. Treaties were rewritten overnight. The humans did not conquer. They did not demand tribute. They simply warned, "Do not come here again." For the first time in centuries, the Varn Dominion had met a foe it could not dominate. And the galaxy realized that the small blue planet it had once ignored was anything but weak. Years later, in a distant system, a council of alien leaders gathered in secret. They spoke of the humans, of their silence, their power, and their terrifying restraint. One elder asked, "Why did they stop? Why not seize what was theirs by right?" The answer came from a younger diplomat who had studied the ancient transmissions. "Because they do not desire conquest. They only defend what they love. But if ever forced to fight again, they will not hesitate. They fight not for empire, but for survival." The council fell silent. For all their pride and arrogance, they could not deny what they had witnessed. Humanity, once dismissed as primitive, now stood as a specter that haunted every star. In the centuries that followed, the legend of the Resolute became myth. Pilots spoke of a ghost ship patrolling the border of Sol, appearing whenever foreign fleets strayed too close. None who tested the warning ever returned, yet on Earth life went on quietly. Cities shone beneath gentle sunlight. Oceans glimmered. Children laughed under skies unscarred by war. The people never saw the hidden fleets in orbit or the great shipyards on the moon's far side. They lived in peace, unaware that the heavens feared them. Inside the Resolute, a lone commander stood before a viewing screen, watching the planet below. His uniform bore no rank, no emblem, only a simple insignia, a small blue sphere encircled by silver. He spoke softly, almost to himself. They came so far just to learn what strength truly means. The stars outside shimmered, and the ship turned silently toward the void once more. In the galactic records, the Dominion's defeat was never fully explained. Some called it a collapse of leadership. Others claimed it was divine judgment. But those who had seen the battle, those who had felt the pulse of the human warship tear through the cosmos, knew the truth. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. It had reminded it that some fires once awakened can never be extinguished. And so, the humans watched the stars, guardians of a fragile peace no empire dared disturb again. The name Resolute became more than a ship. It became a warning whispered across every frontier. They had conquered worlds with ease until a human warship challenged them. The galaxy would never forget.